there's two things going on today, or at least earlier today when we're talking about the price of oil. One is the sort of ongoing what's happening between the United States, Israel, Iran, all these other countries that are in conflict in the Gulf right now and at war in the Gulf. When there are the possibilities out there of perhaps Donald Trump escalating, perhaps the Iranian regime changing how they're behaving, we see a commensurate rise in the price of oil. That's part of what sent the price of Brent crude, that international standard, shooting way up today to that 4-year high. Now, it seems to have settled a little bit down since then. Part of that is because perhaps, I hate bringing up this term, but there's the aspect of taco. You know, Trump always chickens out. No one's sure what Donald Trump will do. So there's that factor at play. But then the other thing that's going on here is we're hitting the end of the month, and the price gaps between what people were expecting to pay when they buy things called futures. They're sort of predicting what they think the price of oil might be at a future time. The price gaps between those future prices and the actual price of a barrel of oil, if you need to get it in your hands right now, those gaps tend to need to narrow by the time you hit the end of the month, because you move into, you know, from, say, looking at May or June or July into the next month, and gets into a lot of the weeds on how commodities traders operate. But essentially, once we hit the end of the month, there's something like, oh, there's a gap in these prices, and we have to fix that, and prices will shoot all over the place.
But oil prices seem to have settled later in the day, so why is that?
You know, as I mentioned, political rhetoric is what comes into play there. Will they, won't they, how will they do it, what's happening when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz is really what drives all of this. And no one remains sure. When will traffic move through the Strait of Hormuz at a level that it did before this war started? Will that happen at all? If it does, who gets to move through the Strait of Hormuz? And because no one is really sure of those things, oil prices remain quite high, but they are lower than earlier this morning when there was perhaps things may develop, things may change a little bit, but we are still a lot higher than we were before. You know, as I tend to remind everyone, before this war started, that price was around $70 a barrel. So the fact that it's now at like 111, 112, 114, yeah, it's lower than 126 earlier today, but it's still very high.